Hi everyone, and welcome to today's lesson on compression. Compression happens when two bones in a joint run into each other and don't allow the body to move any further. So when we're talking about compression, one of the easiest places to look is the hip. Compression happens for all kinds of reasons, the shape and angle at which our bones naturally form as we are growing. Compression is not something that you can get around. It's not something that will ever change with mobility practice. And it's one of those things that can sometimes be very frustrating for people who are trying to get more mobile, because eventually you do hit a point of compression, and that's the end of how mobile you're going to be. It's important to understand where compression might be happening in your body, and that no amount of training will really get you around that compression. I know that sounds really harsh, but sometimes it's nice to know those kind of realities, because then we understand better where we can focus in our bodies. So again, we're going to look at the hip. So compression in the hip would happen when the femur hits the acetabular joint, which is what we usually would call the hip socket. So once the femur and the hip socket collide, then you're not going to go any further. We can't change where our bones are. We can't change those angles. So for Stan here, compression, when he's lifting his leg in this particular direction, would hit about here, which of course Stan is much more flexible than most of us. But if Stan were to now extend his leg out, so Stan, because of this compression, is never going to be able to touch his foot to his forehead, because he's hitting bone on bone. A good way to understand whether compression is happening in your body or if there's just muscular tension there is that compression will always happen in the opposite side of a stretch. Let's think about this in terms of fascia for a moment. If we are working the back line of the body, but you're feeling pinchiness or pain in the front line of the body, then you're likely hitting compression. If you are extending your leg out in front of you and you're feeling, switch sides for you, and you are feeling stretch or sensation back in the back side of the body where you would anticipate the stretch to be, then that's muscular tension. If you are feeling a pinch or a pain or a sensation in the front, the opposite side of the stretch, that's much more likely to be compression in your joint between your bones. Why is this important to know? Because you're finishing up a mobility challenge. And sometimes when we think of mobility as being endless. We think if I do this mobility challenge 20 times in a row, there will be nothing, no movement, no stretch that I cannot do. But ultimately, eventually in your mobility, you will come to a point where your bones are hitting your bones and there's no further that you can go. I don't say that to be discouraging. I say that so that we can understand our bodies better and be more forgiving of our bodies when they won't do something. Because eventually you'll hit compression and go, why can I not go any further? And it's just the way that your bones are naturally made. There are so many natural variations of the human body. You are not going to be able to do everything in your bones that somebody else can do. So keep working your mobility challenge, but know that at some point, if you begin to feel the stretches, begin to feel the lengthening on the opposite side of where we would think we could feel them or should feel them, that you may be hitting compression, and it may be time to stop working that particular area of your body and start to focus on your mobility elsewhere. Enjoy the rest of your practice.